You know that moment when it's lunchtime and everyone's asking, "Where are we eating today?" And your brain is screaming, "Literally anywhere you're not going." Yeah, that wasn't social anxiety. That was self-preservation. If you'd rather eat your sandwich alone at your desk, in your car, or on a bench outside than make small talk about Karen's weekend plans for 45 minutes, welcome. You're about to feel very understood. Because eating lunch alone doesn't make you antisocial. It doesn't make you unfriendly. And it definitely doesn't mean you hate your coworkers. It means you understand something most people never figure out. Lunch isn't just about food. It's about energy. And you're not wasting yours. Quick note before we dive in. This video is for educational purposes only. If you're struggling with severe social anxiety, isolation, or mental health challenges that impact your well-being, please reach out to a qualified mental health professional. This isn't a substitute for therapy. Just some psychology that might help you understand yourself better. All right, let's get into it. Here's what nobody tells you about people who eat lunch alone. You're not lonely. You're not sad. You're not sitting there wishing someone would invite you to join them. You're intentionally choosing solitude because you know something the group lunch crowd doesn't. Social interaction is a transaction. And during lunch, you're not interested in spending. Every conversation requires energy. Every question demands a response. Every story someone tells means you need to react appropriately, stay engaged, and perform interest, even when you're thinking about the 17 things on your task list. Group lunch isn't a break. It's unpaid emotional labor. And your brain has better things to do. Here's the thing. You're an introvert operating in an extrovert-designed workplace. Psychologist Carl Jung first identified introversion and extroversion as fundamental personality traits. Introverts recharge through solitude. Extroverts recharge through social interaction. According to research on personality psychology, introverts have higher baseline cortical arousal. Translation? Your brain is already more stimulated than extroverts' brains at rest. You don't need external stimulation to feel engaged. You need less of it. Extroverts experience lunch as energizing. Fresh faces, new conversations, social variety. It gives them fuel for the afternoon. You experience lunch as one more demand in a day full of demands. You've already been on all morning. Meetings, emails, collaboration, performing the socially acceptable version of yourself. Lunch is your chance to turn off, to let your nervous system reset, to stop performing and just exist. When someone asks you to join group lunch, they're not offering connection. They're asking you to extend your work shift without pay. No wonder you'd rather eat alone. You're not being rude. You're being strategic about your energy budget. And in a world that treats constant socializing as the default, that makes people uncomfortable. But then there's something else happening, something most people completely miss. You eat lunch alone because you actually enjoy your own company. Let's talk about what group lunch really is. Surface-level conversation. Repeated stories, obligatory laughter at jokes that aren't funny, someone complaining about their commute for the 14th time this month, someone else talking about a TV show you don't watch, and you, sitting there, nodding along while your brain is screaming, "This could have been silence." Research from the Journal of Social Psychology found that people who are comfortable with solitude tend to have higher levels of self-awareness and emotional regulation. You're not eating alone because you can't connect with people. You're eating alone because you've already connected with yourself. And that's a deeper relationship than most people ever build. While everyone else needs constant external validation, constant chatter, constant proof that they're part of the group, you're fine with quiet. You don't need someone else's presence to feel okay. You don't need small talk to feel connected. You don't need lunch companions to prove you're likable. You're secure enough in yourself that silence isn't uncomfortable. It's preferred. And here's what's wild. Studies show that people who regularly engage in solitary activities report higher levels of creativity and problem-solving ability. Why? Because when you're alone, your brain isn't in reactive mode. It's in reflective mode. You're not responding to external stimuli. You're processing internal thoughts. You're making connections. You're thinking deeply. Group lunch is performance. Solo lunch is processing. And if your job requires any level of creative thinking, strategic planning, or complex problem solving, you need that processing time. You're not avoiding your coworkers. You're protecting your cognitive resources. Now here's where it gets interesting. You're not eating alone because you're shy. You're eating alone because you have high standards for conversation. Most people will talk to anyone about anything just to avoid silence. You? You'd rather have silence than meaningless conversation. Psychologists call this selective sociability. You're not antisocial. You're selectively social. You enjoy deep conversations with people you actually connect with. You value meaningful exchanges about ideas, perspectives, challenges. But surface-level chit-chat about the weather, weekend plans, or office gossip? That's not connection. That's noise. And you're allergic to noise. According to research on conversation quality and well-being, people who engage in more substantive conversations report higher life satisfaction than those who engage primarily in small talk. You instinctively know this. You'd rather eat alone and think about something meaningful than sit with 5 people discussing nothing. That's not snobbery. That's self-respect. You respect your time. You respect your mental space. And you refuse to fill it with content that doesn't matter. When the right person comes along, someone who can match your depth, someone who thinks before they speak, someone who values silence as much as conversation, you'll gladly share lunch. But until then, you're perfectly content with your own thoughts. They're better company than forced small talk. But let's clear something up right now. You're not eating alone because you hate people. You're eating alone because workplace social dynamics are exhausting. Let's be honest about what group lunch really is in most office environments. Office politics. Who's in, who's out. Gossip about people who aren't there. Subtle competitions about who's busier, who got more done, whose project is more important. Performative bonding where everyone pretends to be closer than they are. And you? You're sitting there wondering why nobody just admits this is all theater. According to organizational psychology research, workplace social politics are one of the top sources of job-related stress. Every group lunch is a political minefield. Say the wrong thing, you're gossiped about. Don't laugh at the manager's joke, you're not a team player. Don't engage enthusiastically enough, you're cold. You're not eating alone to avoid connection. You're eating alone to avoid performance. The second you join that lunch table, you're playing a role. The friendly coworker, the engaged team member, the person who cares about Jennifer's new haircut. And maybe you do care. Maybe you're genuinely kind. But you don't want to perform kindness. You want to just be. And the only place you can do that? Alone. Most people never question workplace social norms. If everyone eats together, you should too. If everyone chats in the break room, you should too. If everyone does happy hour on Fridays, you should too. You see these norms for what they are. Optional. Not everyone needs the same social structure. Not everyone recharges the same way. And forcing yourself to participate in group activities that drain you doesn't make you a team player. It makes you exhausted. Here's what really makes you different, though. You understand something most people spend their entire careers missing. Breaks are for recovery, not more socializing. The whole point of a lunch break is to recharge for the afternoon. But if you spend that break performing, engaging, navigating social dynamics, and managing other people's expectations, you're not breaking. You're just working in a different format. You're the person who actually uses lunch for its intended purpose: to rest, to reset, to give your brain a moment of peace before jumping back into the chaos. And maybe that makes you seem distant. Maybe that makes you seem like you're not interested in bonding with the team. Maybe that makes you the person who's always unavailable for lunch. But deep down, you know the truth. Eating alone isn't isolation. It's restoration. You're not running from connection. You're running toward yourself. And in a world that treats constant togetherness as the only acceptable way to exist, that's not antisocial. That's self-aware. So the next time someone asks why you always eat alone, remember, you're not alone because you're lonely. You're alone because you're intentional. You value your energy. You protect your peace. You choose quality over quantity. And in a workplace that confuses constant availability with commitment, that's not a weakness. That's wisdom. One more thing before you go. If you're feeling genuinely isolated, struggling with loneliness, or finding that avoiding social interaction is impacting your mental health or relationships, that's bigger than just preference. Please reach out to a mental health professional for support. Connection matters. But so does knowing when you need space. Now tell me, are you team lunch is for bonding or team lunch is for peace and quiet? Drop your answer in the comments. And if this video made you feel seen, hit subscribe. We're here every week breaking down the psychology of work that nobody talks about. Because understanding why you are the way you are, that's not just interesting, that's powerful.